Construction finishes, the building stands, the client moves in. Contractors mistake this reality for financial completion, assuming that the final payment is imminent. Under the NEC3 framework, that assumption will bleed a project's profit margin dry. Consider the multi-story office fit-out at King Shaka International Airport. The contract stipulates delay damages of 12,500 Rand for every single day past the completion date, capped at exactly 175,000 Rand. Missing administrative deadlines carry severe, quantifiable penalties. Securing final payment requires passing through 3 rigid contractual gates defined by the ASA contract: payment, quality, and handover. Closeout is not a final phase tagged on to the end of a schedule. It is a daily, compounding discipline required to protect the margin from day one. The King Shaka project operates under NEC3 Option B. This is a priced contract built around a bill of quantities. Option B dictates a specific payment rhythm. The contractor is always paid strictly for measured, verified quantities of completed work. Doing the work is not enough. It must be measured against the bill. This separates Option B from Option A, where contractors receive payment only when specific activities on an activity schedule are 100% complete. It also separates it from Options C and D. There are no target cost-sharing mechanisms. If the quantities required to finish the work exceed the estimates, the contractor carries that risk. The bill of quantities is only a pricing document. It does not provide the works information. If a detail is missing from the bill but required in the works information, the contractor is expected to have priced it in. The accuracy of the bill of quantities measurement is the engine of the contractor's cash flow. Any friction in this measurement delays payment. The first control gate is the payment assessment. In the KSIA contract, the project manager conducts this assessment on a strict 4-week interval. If a contractor misses this window, they wait another month. The assessment hinges on a specific contractual term: the price for work done to date. In this bill of quantities diagram, quantity of completed work is multiplied by specific rates. But NEC3 defines completed as work without defects that would delay or be covered by following work. If a defect meets either criteria, its payment value instantly zeroes out. The project manager cannot override this. If the supervisor identifies a blocking defect, the project manager is contractually barred from certifying payment. Therefore, a contractor cannot pass the payment gate without first clearing the quality gate. The supervisor operates independently from the project manager. While the project manager tracks time and cost, the supervisor acts strictly as the technical auditor, enforcing the works information. Within 3 weeks of the starting date, the contractor must submit a formal quality plan and an inspection and test plan, or ITP, for acceptance. The ITP establishes hold points throughout the construction process. As shown in this workflow, a hold point acts as a hard stop. Construction cannot proceed to the next step until the supervisor inspects the work and signs off. Bypassing a hold point carries immediate consequences. The supervisor can mandate the complete removal of any uninspected work entirely at the contractor's expense. If effects are found, the KSIA contract enforces a 4-week defect correction period. If the contractor fails to rectify the issue within this window, the project manager assesses the cost for the employer to fix it and deducts that amount from the contractor's payment. The supervisor's mandate is exact. Take the KSIA Hoarding Specification Handbook. It outlines precise visual and structural requirements for temporary site partitions. Contractors must install Type A hoarding with specific 16mm melamine finishes and black top hat sections on the vertical joints. A deviation here is a defect, and it will block payment. The supervisor's sign-off is the prerequisite for technical integrity. Without it, the contractor cannot claim completion. Reaching the end of the build leads to the third gate, handover. Physical completion means nothing on its own. The KSIA contract explicitly states the employer is not willing to take over the works early. Completion is a documentary threshold. The handover pack requires comprehensive operational data, as-built drawings, operation and maintenance manuals, and formal training records for the facility staff. The contractor must also secure 15 separate compliance certificates. This includes electrical, plumbing and lighting, concrete strength tests, waterproofing system guarantees, and fire compliance. The airport environment adds highly specific requirements, including mandatory soil protection and entomology certificates. The contractor must also formally transfer intellectual property rights, granting the employer an irrevocable, transferable license to use and copy all IP related to the works for future maintenance. Even leaving the site is tightly regulated. The contractor has exactly 14 days after final completion to completely de-establish the site camp. Miss this deadline, and the employer will dispose of the equipment and bill the contractor for the contingent costs. Without this verified mountain of compliance data, a finished building is legally and operationally useless to the employer. The contractor's liability extends far past handover. The defects date is set at exactly 1 year after the completion of the whole of the works. Once all prior defects are corrected, the supervisor executes their final contractual duty, certifying the work by issuing the formal defect certificate. This certificate is the trigger for the project manager. Within 4 weeks of its issuance, the project manager must make the final assessment of the amount due. This final assessment releases the 10% retention money withheld throughout the project. For the contractor, this final release of South African Rand often represents their actual profit margin for the entire job. The final assessment is conclusive evidence of the final amount due. It closes the contract and proves that the months of administrative discipline yielded their intended return. Let's review the mechanics of the closeout process using this one-page summary of the payment, quality, and handover gates. We will test these mechanics against the specifics of the King Shaka contract data. Question 1. How often are payment assessments performed? Question 2. What happens to your site camp 14 days after completion? Question 3. Is early takeover allowed on the KSIA project? Question 4. Who issues the final defect certificate? Question 5. When is the final assessment due after the certificate? 4 weeks. 14 days until disposal. No early takeover. The supervisor. 4 weeks. Mastering the rules that govern these gatekeepers is the only way to ensure an NEC3 project is truly finished.